Hey kids, we're back. Yeah. So we have, I forgot to say, welcome to Guitar Quackery Live. It's a live stream. Okay, so you're watching a replay of a live stream. That's what you're watching. I don't have an audience yet. I will have an audience soon, hopefully. So who's ever watching this part, as we speak, as I speak, it's a replay. We have a Kamaka, I don't know, ukulele on the bench. Here it is. These are the strings we're putting on, but we're not going to put them on right now. First, we need to do a little bit of fret work. First, I need to remove the string from here, the old string. Hopefully without scratching the headstock. It's a $1,200 ukulele, so it's not a toy, even if it's little. So I had to modify the bridge a little bit. And I'm going to remove the strings that I temporarily put there. And we're going to do some fret work first. So let me just put these old strings away. I lost one of them. Okay, let's put them here. And now let's remove the new strings. Okay. All right. I think this is okay. Yeah, I'm still thinking about this. But these are the new strings. They have ball ends. If you watch part 1 of this on this playlist, you will see what had to be done. It had to be done. Something had to be done. Something wasn't quite right. Okay? I have, well, we have, hold on. So like I said, the fret ends are a little bit sharp. So we are going to take care of that. So here is a stack of Post-it notes, which I'm going to put here to protect the soundboard. And I'm going to file the fret ends using this file. Just like that. Now, I'm not protecting the finish because these files, they don't really damage the finish. A diamond grid file would, but these don't. The nut is glued in. I wish I could remove it easily, but I think it's glued in. Yeah. All right, that's not a good thing. I think especially for a $1,200 ukulele, it shouldn't be glued in. it should just be a tight fit, like on a nylon string guitar. But a tight fit is, you know, not an easy thing to do. Okay, I can also use this file. This is the Fret Guru Safe Edge Fret End file. So this is hard to explain what I'm doing and how I'm doing it now. And it's not always easy to show every single detail on the live stream. But I am, you know, using my thumb to try to judge So you see, I'm rounding off the edge of the fret. It's that transition between the side of the fingerboard and, you know, the playing surface. And I'm using my thumb as a stop. Feels like I need something here. So it feels like here there was a high spot on the side of the fingerboard. So this file took off more material from these frets than here. There was a low spot, I think, somewhere here. I guess this is handmade, so it might have some imperfections. Okay, that's good. And now we do the other side. So if you're new to this channel, this is a live streaming channel. It offers my customers the opportunity to watch me work on their guitars. This is not a guitar. I don't live stream every project. For now, maybe I will in the future, I don't know. Can't promise. Some projects are charged by the hour. So this, you know, is a good idea to, it's a good way to to keep track of the hours, and also to make sure that the customer understands where the time went. So last thing I want to do is, if I charge by the hour, to have to explain to the customer what I had to do. And then they still don't understand. So this way, it's all recorded. And that's it. It's fair to charge by the hour on some projects, because sometimes you just never know how long it's really going to take. Speaking of, today I got a text message from someone. Let me check. I got quite a few. Well, people call me, and then I don't pick up the phone, usually. So then I text them back, then they text me. So let me see. Okay, so what kind of guitar? Sentimental value. Yeah, it's a Hondo guitar, you know. But anyway, I looked up that model, and I said, you know, unless there's a sentimental value, it's like a $150 guitar, acoustic. So, you know. So I let the customer know, or potential customer, about the live streams. I said, if there is a strong sentimental value, you know, I'll work with you. So I charge by the hour on things like this, like a vintage guitar that, you know, unknown territory. I'm gonna have to charge by the hour. And you can watch me work. This way, you know, you see exactly what I'm spending the time on. So he said he would check out the live streams. Maybe he's watching now. And maybe his guitar will be on a future live stream. We had a special guest earlier today, so this is my third live stream today. Public live stream. Sometimes I do private archival live streams. Here's a string. So we had Dr. Williams. Guitar pathologist. And she's doing her postdoctorate in guitar forensics. So she brought a cadaver guitar here. We put it on the bench, and she did some work on the bridge. And she will be back next week. Today is Saturday. So, no more Dr. Williams at this place this week. So perhaps you should check it out. It's archived now. Okay. Now I will use the same Fret Guru safe edge file for to make little kind of like to knock those little sharp corners. You can see that I'm moving my entire body. And here I need a little additional. So obviously with this work, we want to hit the metal but not the wood. Okay, and now the other side. Okay. One step closer to completion, right? I think we have a little bit of glue squeeze out here. That's right. Remove some glue. And on this fret as well, which is fine. They use the glue to glue them in, which is generally a good thing. Yeah. Okay, here we go. You know, I have this camera. I'm not using it now. Maybe I should. So I'm inspecting each fret individually, right? This is one of my favorite files. I actually really like files. Well-made files. Don't bother buying cheap files. Those AliExpress files, they're worthless. I bought one once out of, you know, just to see. Complete garbage. So this ukulele is going to Malaysia. It's going to be super humid there. So the wood's going to expand. Which means there might be little dimples. That's better than sharp frets. But the thing is that I'm going to oil the fingerboard. And oil and water don't mix, right? So hopefully that'll slow down the exchange of moisture between the air and the wood grain. And maybe it won't expand too much. Yeah, that's good. Now, we can hit it with sandpaper a little bit. So I'll hit it with first 600 grit. And yeah, you can tape off the area a little bit past the tang, or you can be just very careful. I've done it once or twice before, so I'll just try to be careful. There are comments. Dr. Jeffrey Boyle is here. Rubbish guitar bloke says good morning, and Dr. Aficionado is here. Hello to all of you. Give the Honda to Pete Townsend. He'll know what to do with it. I have a Hondo somewhere. I'm going to give it away. It's going to be a guitar giveaway one day. Okay, this one is a 600 grit. So let's just do this side first. Make sure I put this all the way against the fingerboard. So if I hold it at a, at an angle, I'm not gonna hit the finish. And I'm being very, very gentle. So if you're very gentle, you'll keep hitting the metal, which is sticking out, right? You'll keep hitting it over and over again. And hopefully you won't hit the finish too much. And if you do hit the finish, it's just going to be a little bit here at the transition. Okay, so that's enough for the 600 grit on this side. It is an expensive ukulele. So yeah, friends, like I said, we had Dr. Williams here. She was working here. She's a guitar pathologist. And it was somewhat unusual live stream. Well, you'll see. Check out the Guitar Cadaver now archived live stream from earlier today. And she's good. Yeah, I'm impressed. I even learned a thing or two from her. And you see, and I'm not thinking. So what what mistake am I making? Right. So I only send it up to here. So now, and then I realized that I didn't put the post-it note there. Dr. Steve Cassidy was here earlier. So I think you all know Dr. Steve Cassidy from Steve Cassidy Guitar YouTube channel. Check him out. He's a good guy from Scotland. I like the other Scottish guy too, the Science of Loud. I really like that guy. Colin, right? That's his name? The Science of Loud. They know each other. And I'm going to be on a Zoom call with Dr. Steve Cassidy in a couple of days. I think on Tuesday, we said. So next week. We want to do something. I have some ideas. So we'll see. I don't want to say too much because I don't know if it's going to happen. I mean, the Zoom call will happen, but the ideas, not sure. So let's put some tape over the nut. We're going to have to fix the nut a little bit. It's a little bit rough. Yeah. Okay. Now, let's see. It's got uneven frets. I checked already with the strings on, but then I always like to check without the strings on. So this is the transition. I think it's got a little bit of a fall away. Or maybe not. Let me see. No, I think that's a high fret. So that's a high fret here. And we can't hammer it in. We don't know what's underneath the fret tag. I did see some glue residue somewhere, right? So I'm sure there's glue underneath. We can't just hammer it in. Yeah, so we're good with this, almost. I still take this. I have a finer grit on this side and a slightly coarser grit on this side, so I start with this coarse side first. So if there are any little bumps that the fret rocker missed, as long as I have a little bit of a back bow on the neck, I can take them off. This does not have a truss rod, obviously. So especially here, we don't want to have a hump. So here now I'm pushing down here and I'm almost lifting this side here. And that's just so that I can hit it here in this area, where usually we have a little hump. Not so much a hump, it's more like there's a relief here, maybe sometimes, and then there's a fall away here. So this creates a high point here sometimes, perhaps. Yes, so I'm not really hitting the frets here, but they're good. Now let me just finish with a fine grit. Okay, so we only did 600 grit on this side, on the fret ends. So now I want to go to 800. 1000. Well, I'm gonna have to protect both sides anyway, so why don't we just do this? Simplify my life. Okay, and I'm just gonna go like this. Let's see. If I got 1500 here. No, I don't have it here. I do have more sandpaper there, but you know, this looks good. We are going to buff the frets. I'm not going to do that individual thing on these. I'm going to go up and down with the micro mesh pads. So I do have 1500 grit paper here cut out. That's it, 1500. So why don't I first do this 1500 grit, because I am going to use those micro mesh pads, but that 1500 grit is already a little bit used up. So I want to start with a fresh one. Yeah, they're getting shinier. Shinier by the minute. Okay. And I'll just take the micro mesh. And my glove. All right. We were using these gloves when the pathologist was here before, Dr. Williams, obviously. So you see how I'm holding the pads like this? This is so that I hit the sides of all the frets. I'm not talking, I don't know what to say. I'm polishing the frets. I had a couple of kids here, maybe a month ago. They were doing a review using all my equipment of their twins, so of their Yamaha Revstar guitar that their parents bought, and yeah, so I let them use everything. And I recorded the whole thing, and one of them has a YouTube channel, so it's on his channel. And what's the name of his channel? Something Pickles. Man, it'll come to me. I'll look it up after I take my glove off, and I'll let you know. So both of them are subscribed to Guitar Quackery, and as they should be, and they're learning a lot, because Guitar Quackery on YouTube is an educational channel, right? So it's good for kids who want to actually learn something. And yeah, they come here for music lessons. I'm the instructor. So I let them do a video here. They just had a lesson today, this morning, with me. Okay. Sometimes we do Zoom lessons, and sometimes they come in person. Today was a Zoom lesson. What's the name of his channel? Oh, Robert's Guitar Blog says, watched Ankendor guitars yesterday live. Great bloke. Yes, he is. Thanks for the recommendations. Yeah, recommendation, yes. Ankendor guitars. So, oh, please focus. Okay, check him out. He is a guitar builder. I'm a builder as well, but I haven't been building since the COVID lockdown, because I'm renovating my basement. I don't have the space right now. It's been like an ongoing thing, never ending. So, hold on, let me look it up. Pickle. Man, I should know the name of his channel. Something Pickles. Guitar. Sorry about that. I want to give him a shout out and okay, it'll come to me. Sorry. So yes, so that other guy, he is doing live streams from his shop, but he's not a repair technician. He's a builder. So very, very similar, but different. I don't think other repair channels do live streams. I'm not sure, but I don't think so. Okay, so now let's do some buffing. That, and we need tape. Okay. A routine job. I forgot to put the links to this thing. I will put them later. They're going to be shiny. Oh, and I forgot my microfiber. Actually, I bought a new set of microfiber cloths. I need to wash these. But where I put the new set, I don't know. I think it's at home. So if you hit the ends, they become nice and not just shiny, but you know, around it all, you know, and nice and smooth. Of course, I did all the prep work with the files. So for a $1,200 ukulele, there are some things that are, you know, not perfect. The wood was not dried up enough. The bridge that I had to repair, and the nut isn't that great. She said that she first bought a $20 ukulele, then I think she said then a $200 ukulele, and then a $1,000 or $1,200, whatever. There's a receipt in the case. It says $1,200 and something. I'm getting tired. It's almost midnight. And I wanted to work on that Martin guitar. What is it? 00 or 0017? I forget. So on the Martin guitar, I'll be routing a saddle slot on the bridge. Well, there is a saddle slot, but it's not deep enough because I think the bridge had been shaved. I'm sure. So when you shave the bridge, you might end up with a shallow saddle slot, and that's the case with that guitar. So I'm making a jig for the router, and I cut some 3/4 inch plywood for that purpose. I did that at home in my basement / workshop. So once I finish the construction work or renovation work in my basement, I want to build guitars again, and I also want to set up a whole live streaming thing. Yeah, at some point. But I have some more immediate plans for some other thing that's actually going to cost me a lot of money. And I am, you know, if everything goes well, I'm going to make an announcement very soon. I already have the software. Yeah, I already talked about this once, so I came up with an idea to use, I don't want to say yet what it is, a piece of equipment, industrial grade equipment, for the purposes of guitar diagnostics, actually, and inspections. And the reason why I don't want to talk about it just yet is not because I think somebody will steal the idea. I don't think anybody would. But because I just don't like to talk too much about something before it happens, before I know that it's going to happen. Because if this whole thing is delayed, which it might be because of the cost involved, you know, then it doesn't look good if I talk about it too much. And I actually have a business advisor that's helping me with that. Now, that's not the YouTube consultant that I mentioned in the past. That's a business advisor from a local small business development center. So those services are free. yeah, anyone can use those services, and you know, it's basically a consultant, free service. It's not free. That means that we pay for it, right? When we pay our taxes. But those services are available to us. Sometimes it's difficult to make decisions in business, and it's good to have someone to talk to. And I don't mean a therapist, although that's also good, but you know, someone who knows about business, hopefully. Because most small business owners didn't study business, right? But those people did. So anyway, he's helping me with that. He's apparently very experienced, and we communicate by email and Zoom. But speaking of my YouTube consultant, I also had a Zoom call with her today. So this time, because I'm going to launch a new channel, it's going to be called Guitar Quackery Business. I'm doing a lot of planning before I jump. So, because I learned a lot from my main channel, and I don't want to repeat some of the mistakes. I want to simplify things so that I can produce more content. That channel is not going to be necessarily for the same people that have subscribed to my channel or that are watching this channel. It's going to be for those who are interested in the business of guitars. So mostly the business of repairing and building guitars, I guess, since I'm not a dealer. Although I can talk about that other stuff as well. Because I know about that business too, even if I'm not a dealer myself. So the frets are already looking very shiny. This is the last one. Okay. And you see all these fibers. This is why you need to keep your face away, because you do inhale them. I used to use a mask, but, you know, I don't know. Okay, so let's charge this one. got 3 people watching. Well, thank you for watching. Where's the other one? Here. Oh, my Q-tips. And I need fresh tape. Sorry. Yeah, the reason why I put tape is because sometimes you can buff out the surrounding area around the fret, and then it looks. I've done that. You know, like I said, I've damaged guitars before, and the best you can do is learn from mistakes. You know, what else can you do? And I'll damage guitars again, sooner or later. Not your guitar. Their guitars. Those other people. I have insurance with a $500 deductible. So the insurance company that I use is called Anderson Musical Instrument Insurance. I do recommend them because they specialize in insuring musical instruments. I never had to make a claim, so I don't know how they would, I'm sure they would pay. They've been around for a long time. I think it's a small company because the owner personally called me a couple of times to discuss things, to discuss my account and some changes on my account. And, you know, they also always call me when I owe them money. Sometimes I'm bad with payments. I'm just a procrastinator. When it comes to paperwork, payments, or making YouTube videos, or fixing my basement. You know, it's more difficult to work on a ukulele because it's so small. Especially if you need to do some kind of structural repairs, you can't put your hand inside. So what I like to do when a guitar comes in, the kind of setup, whatever service I do, I like it to be almost like an upgrade. So when the customer picks up the guitar, it almost feels like a different guitar. So this isn't a radius fingerboard. They're also more difficult to work on. Radius fingerboards are easier to work on, especially recrowning frets if you do a level crown polish or a refret. So I was discussing with my YouTube consultant this morning about sponsorships. So I do need to get sponsors just to keep my main channel alive, right? Because my main channel is really costing me, right? So I need to get, you know, the little ad money I get, whatever, $100 a month isn't enough. So first I asked her, is it better to approach sponsors or to wait for them to approach me? So I thought it puts me in a better position if somebody approaches me, you know, to negotiate money. She said, no, don't wait. You gotta just approach people. I mean, companies. And then I have a dilemma, right? Because I told her my channel or channels are to educate and protect the interests of the consumers. And when I look at guitars, I report what I see, you know, all the flaws and imperfections, and sometimes I criticize companies such as, I don't want to say the name of the company again, but you know, so how is that going to get me sponsorship deals? And so she said that some companies appreciate that, okay? But she doesn't know much about guitars, right? So she knows about YouTube. And obviously, I don't want to take sponsorship deals from, I don't know, let me say now, Harley Benton, for example, and then review their guitars, because that would defeat the purpose of what I'm trying to do. But I need to make sure that the money comes from somewhere. So I'm thinking of getting sponsors that have very little or no connection to the guitar industry. Which is why, one of the reasons why I'm really planning on thinking of doing the other guitar business channel, and maybe it's just going to be easier to get sponsors to sponsor that content. But I can think of the other channel as just being a playlist on a channel. So if I have a network of channels, what's the difference between having multiple playlists, categories on one channel, or just splitting that on different channels? So I'm thinking if I can get good deals through the guitar business channel, maybe it will be enough to pay for the content on the main channel, which is about guitar repairs and reviews and that sort of thing. So she's advising me against having multiple channels. But I'm going to do it anyway. So against having multiple channels at this time, because I'm already not keeping up with the main channel. This channel's easy. I just push the button. I mean, yeah, I do spend a little bit of time doing the, designing the thumbnail, which is kind of not a great design, right? Because I only have 5 minutes. And writing up everything and checking all the boxes before I click go live. But this channel's easy. I don't do any editing, obviously, for this channel. So I already got more videos on this channel than I have on the main channel that's been running for 2 years. Okay, Jeffrey Boyle says, what do you think of the quality of Gibson guitars these days? So, oddly enough, I just saw a Gibson guitar that needs to be serviced by their repair department, and I want to only talk nicely about the Gibson repair department because I only had great experiences with those people. They've been very nice whenever I try to help a customer. But that guitar, so it was a Les Paul Tribute, and the frets were not seated all the way, not in the middle, but on the sides, some of them. And that's definitely bad, right? So that should have never passed inspection. So what do I think? Well, all the factories are going to have defects. So a factory is just a group of people working together, right? So I don't think it's easy to run a guitar factory. I mean, at some point, you need to hire someone to replace someone. Or do what? Close down the factory? So you can't always get the right people. And, you know, it's not easy to fire someone either. It shouldn't be easy to fire someone. But some people are just not, you know, don't really care about work. And yeah, they don't do good work. So the guitars coming out of Gibson aren't perfect. They are now using the Plek machine to do the fret level crown and polish, what would normally be a level crown and polish. And so I never worked on the Plek machine, right? But I think I have a good understanding of how it works. So you can set it up as a scanner to scan the fretboard. And then based on the scan, you set it up to remove as little material as possible to get the best results. But here's the thing, you need to scan it, you need to analyze it, and you need to spend time setting it up. And then you need to run it. And that's it. And that's optimized for one guitar. Now you put another guitar on the jig, you would need to go through the same process. So ever since Gibson started using the Plek machine, I noticed that their frets are much lower than they used to be. So I believe that they just have a setting on the Plek machine that is just taking off more material than what would be ideal in an attempt to level off all of the frets, regardless of, you know, the actual situation on any individual guitars. So a Plek machine isn't doing a level crown and polish. It's just rounding off the crown all at once. So it's a spinning wheel that's kind of like a crowning file, like this. Okay, like this. And it's going to cut the crown, and it's going to cut the top all at once, except that it isn't straight. It's a disc with this kind of groove cut around the disc, right? So now when you run the disc too hot, in other words, when it's removing too much material at once, it heats up the fret. And when frets heat up, they can sometimes move and shift. So you run the machine hot to make sure that all the frets are level, right? On every guitar that is that goes through the machine, right? But because you're running it too hot, you end up with uneven frets, because after the crowning process, the fret might settle a little bit up, right? So I've seen Gibson guitars, brand new, with uneven frets. And just, was it yesterday or 2 days ago? I can't remember. I'm getting old. I think it was yesterday. I saw the Gibson Les Paul Tribute with frets that have popped up on the side. And I believe it's because of this. And the other thing is that a Plek machine doesn't do a level crown and polish. It doesn't do that last thing, polish. So if you watch the Gibson video on YouTube, the tour of the factory of the custom shop, you will see that the so-called polish is done by one person at the end, going up and down the fingerboard with probably what I believe would be 400 grit sandpaper, and that's it. And that's very obvious because when you look at Gibson frets on a brand new guitar, they have all these scratch marks, and that's just not good, I think. I mean, the guitar plays, but I don't like it. And yet, I actually really like Gibson guitars. I think you need to look at each guitar separately. Yeah, every guitar is going to be different. I like to do, I like finding a good Gibson guitar and then doing whatever touch-up work or improvements, not modifications really, but basically an upgrade to get it just right. Then, they also run the Plek machine on the nut. Now, that's a different cutter for the nut. And where do I have here? The one Gibson nut that I showed a few times already. I misplaced it, I guess. Or maybe it's at home. So I have a Gibson nut that I removed from an R9. So what's an R9? 1970s Gibson. So this came from a 1970s Gibson. ES335. Let's have a look at this nut. So that really doesn't answer your question, what do I think of Gibson these days, right? But here, I just found this. So I removed this from the 1970s Gibson, ES335. Okay, so we're just kind of looking at it. Yeah, too much glue. So it's actually good to put glue here, okay? Because then you don't rip the board when you remove the nut, right? So this is actually a good thing, right? You can see that it's buried here. The headstock veneer, was covering this part. It's a Gibson nut. You can tell, right? And it's 1970s also. The width was smaller, but without even measuring anything, you can see the spacing is off. So this spacing is smaller than here. This is bigger even than this, right? So this is all off. But it did come from a Gibson guitar. So now, that's not a modern Gibson guitar. But where is the nut that I showed a few times? Because it's interesting. This is a Gibson nut too that somebody butchered. This has nothing to do with factory work. Where'd I put it? I had a nylon nut, and I saved it, and I put it in a safe place, I guess, which is why I can't find it. I think it's at home. I'm pretty sure it's at home. But anyway, so that nut was cut on a Plek machine or a CNC machine, something, and they use the same exact cutter for all 6 strings. So same width. And yet that was a custom shop Gibson R9 reissue of a 1959 Les Paul Burst, you know, that, you know, desirable guitar. So yeah, Gibson. So I'm sure that a supervisor at the factory isn't happy if a factory worker isn't doing a proper job, right? I've seen all kinds of Gibson guitars. I've seen too many acoustic Gibson guitars with an overset neck. I don't know how that happens. But again, you know, when I contacted the factory, the service people and all, and explained nicely, everything worked out. Now I just made a video. I made 2 videos, a before and after video of a Gibson, what is it? I have it right here. G something it's called. G Rider. Okay. So I haven't published the videos. These are now just private videos on the main channel. A before and after humidification. So what happened was the customer dried up the guitar, and it oh, here's the nut. Yeah, I'll show you this. And the soundboard fractured, right? So he called Gibson about that, and they said, well, we don't cover that. And, you know, they don't. Okay, that's how it is. So he brought it over here, and I discovered that, you know, the guitar has an overset neck. So I told him, okay, it's an acoustic guitar with an overset neck. Yeah, I mean, it dried up, it cracked. Now, he tells me that he was humidifying the guitar. So that's possible. I believe it. That simply the wood was not dry enough, and despite his efforts to humidify, it still cracked. But anyway, I did a forced humidification, and the crack closed up. Now, before the humidification, I did a video that shows that the guitar has an overset neck. And I explained, there's a fracture, and we're going to rehumidify the guitar. And I took a measurement by how much the neck was overset. Now, when the guitar dries up, what happens is the soundboard collapses down, right? And if you measure the neck angle against the bridge, even if the guitar doesn't actually have an overset neck because of the soundboard collapse, you might get a false reading that you have an overset neck. You measure that basically by placing a straight edge over the fingerboard after adjusting the relief, and it should be touching the bridge. There shouldn't be a gap. It also shouldn't be like hitting the bridge like this. So if there's a gap, you have an overset neck. If it's hitting the bridge, you have an underset neck. So I explained all that in the before video, meaning before rehumidification. And I also explained that the gap is so significant that I don't think it's a humidity issue. So then I rehumidified the guitar, and I did the after video as well. In the after video, I showed that the fracture closed completely, that we have the proper soundboard deflection, which means, you know, the bridge is raised because we have the proper deflection of the soundboard. And after placing the straight edge across at full string tension and the relief adjusted properly, we still had a significant gap. So the strings were too low. You cannot raise the saddle too much. And that's it, right? You cannot really set up the guitar. So the neck is overset. So now I posted both of those videos on my main channel as private videos. I'm sorry, unlisted, so that anyone with the link can watch them. And I told the customer, just you're already, you know, he's already in communication with Gibson. So I said, just keep communicating and give them the links to those two videos. So I hope that they will honor the warranty claim, because the guitar has an overset neck. And I think that the fact that it fractured is now irrelevant, because it has nothing to do with the neck being overset. But let's see what happens. And whatever happens, I think I will publish those two videos on my main channel. I'll just make a video that will show the before and after recordings and explain how the customer came to me, and also at that time explain what the outcome was of the warranty claim, whatever that might be. I don't know. We'll see. So I've seen too many Gibson acoustic guitars with overset necks. I even made a video on my main channel showing a J45, I think, something like that, with an overset neck. I can't remember what the title of the video is, but something about you can't do a setup on a guitar, and it's a Gibson, right, with an overset neck. So they should figure out how to build guitars if they're in the guitar building business. I mean, how to build guitars without overset necks. I also think that they should change their warranty policy. If a customer doesn't have a receipt, they will not approve a warranty claim, even if the customer registered the product. So you can register your guitar with Gibson when you buy one, if they still do that. I think they do. So what's the purpose of registering if they insist on you having a receipt to do a warranty claim? I've seen, you know, issues with all manufacturers. Now, one thing that happens all the time with Gibson is I find the truss rod nut either completely loose, or I can see that it's never been adjusted, because they spray, when they spray the finish, they spray the finish over the brass acorn nut, and you have a thick layer of lacquer on the nut. And when you take the truss rod wrench for the first time, it doesn't fit over the brass nut. So nut, the truss rod nut, not the not this, right? I'm not talking about this nut. I'm talking about the brass hexagonal acorn nut. So this doesn't fit over the nut because there's a thick layer of lacquer right on top, not at the bottom. So that's proof that no one ever adjusted the nut after they sprayed the guitar. So yeah, that's how it is. So I think maybe they have a torque setting for the wrench, and they kind of adjust the truss rod before they even spray the guitar, and they just count on it being good enough to leave the factory. Now, this is just speculation. And I think that maybe the reasoning is, well, you know, when you buy a guitar, you got to do a setup anyway. So this is the factory setup. This is how we do it. And then you buy a guitar, you go to your tech and you do your own setup. You get your own setup done. So yeah, so definitely I've seen overwhelming evidence that the truss rod is never adjusted after restringing the guitar. Okay. I'm going to put some coconut oil, but I like Gibson guitars. You see, that's the thing. I like them. Yeah. Oh, on a Fender guitar, once I found on a telly, the actual truss rod nut was, this thing was not there. So the customer bought a guitar, brand new guitar. It had an up bow, so you know, let's just do a setup. Yeah, you know, I try to adjust the truss rod. There was nothing there. So how did that pass inspection? I don't know. So once again, for those of you who missed the first half of this ukulele is going to Malaysia. It's going to be very humid in Malaysia. And I am making sure that I don't want to over oil it, but this is kind of like a vapor barrier, right? Oil and water don't mix. So I am making sure that this fingerboard is somewhat protected. They have like 80%, 90, 95% humidity sometimes. That's what the customer told me. So, and we want to oil the bridge as well. The saddle slot inside. And like our friend Affection, oh, I got to show you the nut. Like our friend Aficionado said, also the inside. Does this fit? Yes, it does. Okay, look at that. Great. Yeah, I was thinking of, there's a few crushed fibers here because of the way the string was pulled out. And I was thinking, can I actually glue it? And, you know, thinking through, I don't think it can really be done. So it's never gonna like look like, yeah. So I guess the idea is that that little bead also can be removed more easily, I guess, if it's oiled. So for those of you who missed part 1 of this project, I had to do a modification at the back of the bridge. So I think I can put a little more oil. This is coconut oil that I like to use. All right. So I do this, and then I will clean up the nut a little bit because it's a bit shredded around the string slots. But before we do this, we were talking about the Gibson nut that I removed from an R9. So this is it. This is a nylon nut. So I had to replace it. I'll show you. I'll put it in the vise. And yeah, let's throw it on the microscope. Here we go. We'll use this microscope. This way you can get a side view as well. Okay. So I'm not charging this customer by the hour, which is why I can take a little break from work and still continue to do this live stream. It's not going to cost the customer extra. But here, we'll look at this nut. You can see this is, actually, let me first show you the low E string right there. So you can see the width of the string slot on the low E, okay? This is what it is. And that's fine for the low E. Now, as we move the nut towards the high, towards the treble side, we notice that it's the same width. The string slots are the same width. And here you can see the B string. It was seated, you know, it was angled towards the tuning post, but this is definitely not a good string slot. And because it was being pulled in that direction over there, the string was actually seated, where over here, on the side. Now, what we were looking at the G string, oh, same thing, right? So this is the B, very wide, and this is also very wide, right? This is the same width as the low E string. And you can see that this was cut by a machine and never adjusted by hand. So you have two points of pressure. One is at the front, and the other point of pressure is at the back, because it was cut straight by a CNC machine and never adjusted. So, you know, for a Gibson Custom Shop R9, I don't think that's, you know, acceptable. And here, with this microscope, I can look straight down only, but I have the ability to zoom in better. And I want to show you something. Okay, here we go. So you can see the bottom of this string slot. And you can see those lines like at the bottom, tool marks going in circles like this. And this is simply from the cutting tool, which is basically like an end mill, kind of like this kind of thing, spinning, right? So this is the type of tool that leaves the tool marks that we see at the bottom of this string slot. So clearly you can kind of take a mental note of the width of this string slot, which is the high E, right? It's right at the edge of the nut. And now as we move over here you can clearly see the tool marks as well, right? It's the same width, right? And here is, well, I guess this one is a little bit wider. I don't know now. Maybe I think it was the same width, and I think the string itself crushed the two sides, probably. Although it looks like there's a double slot on this one, like a smaller slot inside of this. I mean, I don't know. I just know that this was not a good nut, so we had to replace it. But like I said, the Gibson service people have always been super cool, super nice. So if you ever have a warranty claim, my recommendation is you can call them, right? And you can first say, you know, how much you really love the guitar, and maybe how much you love the Gibson guitars, which is where you bought it, and you really love this guitar, and you know there's an issue. What do you think we can do to make it right? And then again close it with how much you really love the guitar. So I'm assuming that if you bought a Gibson guitar, you must like them, right? So I would put the emphasis on how much you like Gibson guitars. And, you know, I think they would be more likely to try to find a solution for you. So this customer with the, I was talking about before with Tribute, Les Paul Tribute. So he was very frustrated, and I can understand why, right? And he was kind of venting. And I said, well, that's not how we want to approach Gibson, right? So I said, don't call them, you know, let's discuss this, and maybe it's better if I contact them, and let's see what we can do, what they can do. Okay, so here I'm seeing these plastic shreds, You know, it's just cosmetic, but I think I want to just remove them. Yeah, so this type of plastic tends to do this, but then, you know, we don't want to leave it like that on a $1,200 ukulele. Okay, I'll clean that with a brush. Okay, cool. This one I already kind of started cleaning earlier. So there's still some left at the back end right there. Okay, I already cleaned up this. So now we should be able to just put the strings on and be done with it. Okay. Okay, we're good. So here it is. It's all prepped. Yeah, I can remove this now. Yeah, this is multiple layers. Whatever. I guess I'll just toss it. Or maybe I'll save it for something. Okay. We want to put the strings on. So now I did put the strings here. Where did I put them? Okay, so these are the strings. And let's turn it around. So this is the modification that I just did, right? It's now going to accept these ball ends. Oh, and I need to trim and also prep these strings. Yeah, I almost forgot about that. So this is the lighter that I borrowed. So before we trim, we want to make sure that the nuts are tight. And this one. So this string has already been prepped, right? And like that. Here, and now with the lighter, and one more. So these are good. This is the one I already prepped before. Yeah, and this one is the remaining one. Right? That's what we need to do. Okay? Okay, and then we have the saddle. So I marked off this is the base side. And I have two 28 gauge strings. One 32 and one 40 gauge string, right? I think there's just a little bit of coconut oil here stuck. Not really. Okay. So here, these two go here and here. Okay, making sure. Yeah, I mean, I think this looks good. Let's view through the microscope. Okay. Here it is. They're a bit too long, so I'll just cut them here. Okay. And now we just wind them. I'm going to make sure that the tuning machine bushings aren't loose. Should be a 10 millimeter, I guess. No, it isn't. They are loose. Okay, so carefully with this because they're painted black, so I don't want to scratch them. So they're not the usual size, 10 millimeter. And I don't have a socket wrench of this size, which is why I'm using the spanner wrench. Okay. Okay. I'm not really used to this too much. So Let's hope this is good. So I like to do on an acoustic guitar, or in this case ukulele, the high and the low strings first to hold the saddle. And I don't like to wind nylon strings too much. They stretch a lot, and if you wind them too much, you actually run out of height on the post. But I'm not sure if the thick strings are going to be, if I'm going to be able to pass them through twice. Let's see. I think not a chance. Okay, so because I don't like to wind it too many times, I'm going to make a knot. And I'm going to end it fairly close to this. It's a little further away than I really want it. I hope it works. Well, it is what it is now. So this is, so it's tuned A, E, C, G. I'll trim them later. So obviously this is the thick string. I'm going to have to make a knot. There's no other way. I'm sure there's another way, but, you know, I think this is a good way. I don't know. Okay. I like to use these for nylon strings because the cutters that I use for that, you know, we normally use for steel strings, they crush the thing. So let me cut it off like this, okay? So that's ugly. And now let me cut it off like this. And now I'll show you what I mean. So here's the difference. So this is ugly, right? And the other side is clean. Big difference. And that's because this is a flush cutter. And this one isn't a flush cutter. So this one will always cut like this and crush. But this flush cutter will make a nice and clean cut. Right? So let me check the nut height, because I had already checked, and it's, you know, I think I can improve it a little bit. So even if it's not here for a nut repair, at this point, we already did so much work on it. It's just going to be a quick touch-up. And this also gives me the opportunity to knock it down at the back. It's going to be a better contour. I don't know why I didn't take it in for a nut job. I must have thought that I would just throw it in, thinking that. So I did charge extra for the modification work on the bridge. There was this whole separate budget for that. But in terms of the, you know, setup, I think, yeah, I think I just thought I would do it. So I'm doing it. I charge for what I call my premium setup plus. I saw that on the paper, but I didn't write down what I meant. So plus means that I'm doing extra work on top of the setup, in addition to the setup. So now, what's a setup on a ukulele, right? There's no truss rod adjustment. So that's what I was thinking, that I would just throw it, you know, throw the nut as part of the setup, because I saw that it was high. Yeah, that's definitely what I budgeted this for. So this is really good now, okay, on this one. Okay, but if we look at the others, let's say this one, really high. Look at that height. Okay, so we do need to file the nut, obviously. So this is a 28 gauge, and I used a 28 gauge file for this. Now this is a 40 gauge string. There is no 40 gauge file, so we're going to use a 42 gauge file for that one. And we'll use the 28 for this one as well, okay? So sometimes I have a bad habit. I don't write down everything. So I think through the process when I take a guitar in, or in this case, ukulele. And sometimes I don't have time to write everything down. But thinking through this whole thing now, this is what I must have thought, that I would charge it as a premium setup plus instead of a nut job, because there's not much to be done on the setup side. I was not going to shave the saddle. There's no truss rod to be adjusted. So just the fret work that I just did and the nut. Too high. See, when I'm filing with the sharp diamond files, the plastic isn't shredding. So they must have used dull files. This is either good or very close. Oh, this is perfect. Okay. Okay, so that's the 42 gauge file. The next string is a 32 gauge string, and there is a 32 gauge file. So the exact measurement. For the string slot here. Yeah, it's not, not a well-shaped string slot. It's gotta be open at the back end a little more. It's really tight at the back. And this is where we need to have the low point at the back. Okay. Still too high. See, that's a 32 gauge file. The string slots are too deep. In other words, the knot surface, the upper edge is just too, it's too tall. But we're not going to be reshaping the whole knot now, so. So when it's too tall, it doesn't do anything to the string. It's just not easy to file. You want to make it a little bit of a funnel shape, maybe go towards the tuner, and that's impossible when it's tall. Just one more pass, I think, would be good. That looks good. Perfect. Okay. Now we have this left. Now there's a little stain here. You can see. That's just, I would say, again, a little bit sloppy for this price range. Now we're back to the 28 gauge file. So I like these files. These are music nomad files. The one thing that I would suggest to improve is to put the diamond coating all the way up to here, which is how it is on all the other sizes up to 24, right? But starting from 28 to 103 gauge, it isn't, so. So you can see I didn't hit the bottom yet here, right? So I was just reshaping I want to make sure that this low point is at the back end. And now I'm lowering the whole thing. So there are some bad reviews on Amazon for these files. I think people jump to conclusions because if you don't clean the files, if you don't do this that I'm constantly doing, they are going to clog up and it's going to feel as if they're used up. But I use these files every day, and I've used them on every nut material available. And they're still sharp. I bought them when they first came out, so which must have been 3 years ago now. I don't know, can't remember. As soon as they came out, I bought them. I don't have any issues with them. And, you know, I forgot to put a link in the description, but I will. Those will be Amazon affiliate links, which pay me a small commission at no extra cost to the buyer. I'm required to say that. Otherwise, Jeff Bezos might come and, you know, he might be angry. Very close, so let me measure. We're almost there. I think one more pass and we'll be there. That's great. All right. I'm happy with that. I guess we can cut these now. It always confuses me. This is the, you know, G string. High G. I don't think this tuner holds. It's easy to knock it. Yeah, I would kind of. Oh, there's an adjustment at the back. Here. Yeah. The other ones feel okay. Yeah. And now I'm just going to cut the, where's my thing? Here. The remaining string ends. So, those are flush cutters. So, like I said before, let me move the microscope. So hopefully these strings won't slip. And there it is. So I am happy with this bridge improvement. Look at that. So it looks good, I think. Definitely. Yeah, so that's the logo. It's nice little instrument. I'm pretty happy with the outcome. So it's going to go to Malaysia. I'm really happy with this outcome. And I'm going to give the customer some more strings. I mean, when I say give, I do mean sell. Yeah, just to be clear. I don't have them in stock, so I need to buy some. Okay, so that's it. And it comes with a hard case. Good hard case. She is not going to be using a humidifier. Not in Malaysia, for sure. Let me put this away. Got too much junk. This is the hard case. Goes inside. And here is the warranty card with the receipt. $1,251.31, including tax. Before tax, $1,195, so $1,200, right? So that's the receipt. And she bought it where? In Hawaii. Yeah. Nice little ukulele. No more sharp frets. Yeah. So, it's ready to go to Malaysia. And what I do is I have my stamp here. What is today, the 9th? And yeah, I'm going to cover the customer's name and complete it. All right. That's it, my friends. It took longer than I thought, but I didn't lose money. I start losing money when I go under a certain, amount generated by the hour. Then I'm paying, and that happens sometimes. If you don't charge enough, you are paying to work on someone's guitar. But we were also talking about Gibson, and we were talking about the nut, the Gibson nut, and all that stuff. So that took a little extra time. I used to have a Gibson MK53. What's an MK53? It had an interesting bridge design. You could slide the saddle out of its channel by loosening the strings, then swap out the saddle with a lower or higher action saddle. Huh. I carved a compensated bone saddle for it, since the provided high action and lower action saddle were just straight with no compensation. I was very proud of how it turned out. It had great intonation. Great. Yeah, I'm going to check out your channel. So this is a aficionado lure company. So I'm gonna check out your channel. So you asked me, are you getting a Plex machine? You mean Plec, not Plex. No, I'm not getting a Plec machine. So the industrial piece of equipment that I am getting has never been used in guitar services, not to my knowledge. Okay, so the manufacturer of that piece of equipment doesn't even sell to the public. They sell to factories. It's used in factories, and they thought my idea was interesting, so they ran some tests on guitars, and they put together a presentation for me, and I don't know what to say. I mean, I wasn't expecting that they would really accommodate my, yeah, as you can see, I'm at a loss of words. It's a company that sells, industrial equipment in big quantities to, and I'm going to tell you who that is and all. It's just, I don't want to talk about it yet, because if it falls through, if it gets delayed and all that, then it's kind of silly that I talked about it. It's not like a secret. I told people here. I just don't want to talk about it on YouTube, obviously. Yeah. It's not a dental X-ray machine. That's been used, right? I've seen X-rays of guitars, and those are really interesting. So if you need to do a neck reset on an acoustic or whatever, like some kind of structural repair, and you can somehow get an X-ray done, that helps. But yeah, it's better if you don't guess, because then by process of elimination, there's going to be only one option left at the end, and then you'll know what it is. But you'll know soon enough. So here's the thing. I bought something for it already, and I have run some tests, and it's promising. Okay, I'm not 100% there yet, but yeah, just stay tuned. That's gonna happen. Maybe I will. How about that? I'll announce it on this channel first before I announce it on the main channel, to reward all the good people who subscribe to this channel. How about that? Yeah, I think I can do that. Okay, so friends, that's it. I don't want to stay too late. It's already about 1:15, right? AM. So I want to go home, I have another day ahead of me tomorrow. Today. So this, you know what this is, right? It's a bridge from that cadaver guitar that Dr. Williams cleaned up. So she did a good job. Okay, right here. So check out the cadaver guitar reconstruction, or what did I call it? Yeah, something like that. So I streamed the whole thing today. Thanks for showing us what you are working on. Yeah, of course. Thank you guys for keeping me company. All right, so I am going to go. Let me write something. My usual message here. Okay, thanks and see you soon.